Hello everybody, Functional Programming Tutor here. Today we're going to go over loops, the while loop and the for loop specifically. So to begin, I just have two variables, set them both equal to 0. But what we're going to do is use a while loop to count by twos. So the structure for a while loop is just while, and then you indicate a variable or some condition when the loop should stop. So the loop will run until this condition is met. So in our case, I'm just going to say while I is less than or equal to 5. Okay. Now inside of the loop, what do we want to do? Well, if we're going to count by twos and we expect to see the result, we're going to have to see the result, right? So print x. So we're going to want to do that. Okay. If we want to count by twos, then we should probably add 2 to x, right? Just like that. And then we want this while loop to stop at some point. We don't want it to infinitely loop. Like, for example, if I run this right now, this is going to go until my PC decides that it has no more memory. We don't want that. So we want it to stop eventually. So we're just going to also add 1 to I. Now this is going to show up as 0 because x currently equals 0. And then it will add 2 to x, add 1 to I, and restart the loop. And now, since x is 2, it's going to show 2. Then it'll add 2, add 1, 4, add 2, add 1, until I gets to 5. So this is going to say 0, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. Just like that. And you can make this whatever you want. If you do 50, for example, because we're counting by twos, you just multiply whatever number you want to get your end result. So if you wanted to count by twos to 100, and you do 50, and it counts by twos to 100. Now there is a slightly different way to do this. So to do this a different way, we'll have to set up two new variables for this because I don't want to delete the while loop that I have right now. So we'll just say A equals 0 and B equals 0. Okay. And then right out of the gate, we're going to print B. So B is going to print once. And instead of saying A is less than or equal to 5, we're going to say A is less than 5. And the very first thing we're going to do is B plus equals 2. And then I'm going to print B. Oops. And then we're going to increment our condition, right? Because we want the loop to end eventually. Okay. This is going to give us the exact same result as this. Well, including that print statement there. 0, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. The difference on this, in my opinion, unless you have, again, as with anything, unless you have a project that specifically requires one of the two formats, the difference on this is personal preference, which one you want to do. Okay, so that's while loops. Let's talk about for loops. So, to explain for loops in a vacuum, so that way you don't have to have seen another video to understand the concept of for loops, I'm going to introduce a new function to you, and that is the range function. To start, we're just going to say for a name of, you can consider this a variable name. So in this case, we're just going to say num. So for num in, now the in keyword is going to tell the iterator to look for a thing in something else. So this is just assigning, in this case, a number, which is inside of a range, to num, and then we're going to do something with it every time the loop loops. So, oops, range, and this will, we're going to put 11 here, okay? And then we want to print the variable that we have defined in our for loop. Okay. So this is going to start counting from 0, and it's going to go to 10. 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, all the way to 10. Perfect. Now, that can be a little confusing, but just mess around with it, and you'll get it. It's not terribly difficult. So let's say we want to start our loop at 1. So we can just say if we want it to start at 1 and count to 10, then we add another argument. We say 1 and 11. Okay. And so now it does the exact same thing, but it starts at 1 this time rather than starting at 0. Cool. What if you want to count by 2s? Well, you can do that. So for num in range, you add another argument. So we already have our 2 arguments. We start at 1, we go to 10, well, we go to 11, we go to 10, is what it displays. We want it to count by 2s. Perfect. We can do that. Okay. I'm going to put some spaces in here for the sake of readability. This is called, by the way, this is an escape character. These two together prints a new line. So there's going to be a space in between each set of counting. And so what this is going to do is start at 1, count by 2s to 10. Is that new line I was talking about? It prints a new line. That actually gives us a double line. So if you look at what we just did, we started at 1, and it is indeed counting by 2s, but it's only on odd numbers, right? So here's what I am going to do. So you might ask yourself, why would I use a loop? If you remember my example from a couple of videos ago, you can either do this or you can do this. While this is not technically wrong, you have solved the problem of I need to count by 2s to 10. This is a lot more efficient and a lot more scalable. Okay, so say for example, for whatever reason, somebody came to you and said, hey, I need a program that counts by 2s to 10. You say, okay, great, and you do this. They come back to you a week later and they say, hey, so I thought this was only going to need 10, but this portion of my business or hobby or whatever is growing kind of exponentially. I need it to be 100. Can you do that? Well, would you rather copy and paste this, or would you rather come in here and put a 0? See what I mean? So this is why loops are very handy, at least as far as numbers go. When we talk about some other concepts, we're going to include loops in a lot of other things. Okay, that's really it. Now, the problem that I'm posing to you all is to make this loop right here count by twos, to any even number, displaying only even numbers. Okay. I'm going to put the answer into YouTube short. I'm going to try that format for a little while, see how I like it. If I end up not liking it, I'll go back to the way that I used to do it. But that is it for today. Thank you for watching. If you have any questions, comments, or concerns, please put them in the comments. If you like it, please like it, and hit the subscribe button for more. Thank you.